Welcome to the discussion, folks. We're diving into a really compelling take on US strategic shifts, specifically how today's US approach against Iran is drawing on NATO's tactics originally aimed at Russia.
It's fascinating, like they're borrowing from history to shape current affairs, right?
Absolutely, yep. The idea is that the US, according to Colonel Douglas Macgregor, is essentially using strategies once applied to counter Russia, but now aimed at Iran. There's a blend of old school and new tactics at work here.
So, how exactly are those tactics described? I mean, what sort of strategy are we looking at?
Well, it's like this. Back in the 1990s and even now, NATO's approach to Russia was about economic pressure and political isolation, tactics that can be seen as a way to corral adversaries without, direct military confrontation. Now, they're aiming similar measures at Iran.
And that's a bit ironic, isn't it? I mean, using strategies crafted for one adversary against an entirely different, yet still complex region.
Exactly, it's like trying to repurpose a recipe that worked in one kitchen for a whole new cuisine. There's a certain risk if it doesn't fit the local flavor,
Yeah. That's a great analogy. But does the content mention how Colin McGregor justifies that maneuver?
Yes, that's one of the key points. He suggests that the US strategy against Iran mirrors these historical tactics because ultimately the goal is to strategically contain and, in a way, isolate Iran, similar to what was attempted with Russia. The idea is to leverage diplomatic and economic means rather than rely solely on military power.
Right, but doesn't that run the risk of miscalculation? I mean, Iran has a very different political and cultural landscape compared to Russia.
That's a key critique indeed. Some argue that expecting the same tactics to be successful is like using the same key for two very different locks.
Exactly.
Col McGregor, though, believes the underlying principles of pressure and isolation remain effective regardless of the target.
I can see that notion, but wouldn't it be a little oversimplified given the regional complexities?
Certainly, it's a bold move, and there's an inherent risk in applying a one-size-fits-all strategy. However, McGregor digs deeper, hinting that sometimes historical strategies possess a persistent relevance if they're adapted thoughtfully.
Absolutely.
It's a bit of a calculated gamble.
Speaking of calculated gambles, the conversation also touched on the Ukraine war. How does that tie into his analysis?
Oh yes, that's another fascinating part. Colin McGregor draws parallels between the strategies seen in the Ukraine war and those proposed for Iran. He suggests that NATO's approach in Ukraine, especially the recent rhetorical shifts about prolonging conflicts, serves as a blueprint of sorts.
I get that.
It's as if he's saying history repeats itself, though in modified forms.
Interesting. Do you think that comparison holds up? I mean, the dynamics in Ukraine are specifically tied to its regional context and post-Soviet dynamics.
That's a fair point. I do see some discrepancies. While the tactics may be similar in principle, relying on pressure and economic leverage, the geopolitical realities are different.
Yeah, right.
The critique here might be that applying such a strategy universally might overlook those nuanced local differences.
Right, and some might even say that such an approach could escalate tensions if, for example, Iran reacts unpredictably.
Exactly. That's been a long-standing concern. The idea of replicating NATO's historical strategy carries with it, DOH, a risk of unintended consequences. It might work in theory, but in practice, every region has its own spark points.
And what about the recent comments from NATO's General Secretary? I heard those being mentioned as well. What's the angle there?
Yes, indeed. The General Secretary has been noted for comments that even seem to suggest a prolongation of conflict rather than a swift resolution. According to McGregor, these remarks underscore a broader strategy where,
gotcha.
Conflict becomes a means to an end. It's almost as if prolonging a conflict can be strategically beneficial in certain geopolitical calculations.
That's a pretty controversial line of thought. I mean, is it really in the interest of stability to extend conflicts just to manage power dynamics?
There's definitely a tension there. McGregor seems to be suggesting that by extending a conflict, you can maintain a status quo that counters adversarial influences. It's a risky balancing act, sort of like keeping a pot simmering just enough to extract the desired flavor without letting it boil over.
But doesn't that put civilian lives and regional stability on the line?
Absolutely. And that's where the criticism intensifies. While strategists might appreciate the tactical nuance, critics argue that human cost often outweighs these calculated benefits.
Totally, yeah.
It's a debate about realpolitik versus humanitarian responsibility.
And considering these points, do you think this strategy will actually be effective in deterring Iran?
Well, history provides mixed lessons here. On one hand, economic and diplomatic pressures have at times forced adversaries into negotiations. But on the other hand, as we discussed, regional contexts matter enormously.
Right.
So while there may be some effectiveness, there's also a significant risk that such a strategy could backfire and escalate tensions.
It sounds like a game of high-stakes chess, huh? Every move is both a potential win and a potential blunder.
Exactly. It's like a chessboard with very high stakes, except the pieces here represent nations, economies, and human lives. A misstep isn't just a loss, it can trigger a cascade of unintended repercussions.
And what's interesting is how this whole discussion intertwines with media portrayals. The interview with Conor Macgregor itself seems to be a blend of strategic exposition and political commentary.
Yes, indeed. The platform, Rick Sanchez's show, amplifies these messages, making them resonate with a broader audience. It's not just about cold strategic analysis, but also about influencing public perception.
Yeah, absolutely.
The media becomes part of the strategy in itself.
That adds an extra layer of complexity. When messages like this are broadcast widely, they can shape discourse and even impact policy debates, right?
Exactly, it's sort of a feedback loop. Strategic ideas get disseminated via media, which in turn pressures policymakers. This creates a sort of narrative alignment between public sentiment and high-level strategy.
So, overall, what do you think is the takeaway here? Is it that historical strategies can be repackaged for modern conflicts, or is it more about the risks inherent in such recycling of tactics?
I'd say it's both. There's a clear signal that strategic minds are looking to establish playbooks to navigate modern challenges. But at the same time, the conditions have changed so much that a strategy that worked in one era might not translate seamlessly into
Exactly,
another.
right.
It's a double-edged sword.
And there's also the question of moral responsibility, balancing strategic interests with the potential fallout, right?
Spot on. It's like walking a tightrope between calculated strategy and ethical considerations. While power dynamics might demand a certain ruthlessness, the human cost can't be ignored.
Absolutely. This really puts a spotlight on how, in global politics, every decision is interlinked with history, media influence, and human factors. It's a intricate web.
For sure. And as we see in Conor Macgregor's analysis, these interconnections remind us that strategies, old or new, carry significant weight, both politically and ethically.
Absolutely, yep. Well, this has been an eye-opener discussion. It's clear that the strategy of repurposing NATO's tactics for Iran isn't just a simple policy shift, it's a complex rethinking of international dynamics.
Precisely. And the challenge going forward will be to ensure that while historical insights guide us, they do so without compromising stability or ethical responsibility. It's a balancing act that the global community will continue to watch closely.
Indeed. Thanks for unpacking these intricate layers with me. The interplay of strategy, history, and modern-day politics sure makes for a riveting and challenging conversation.
Absolutely. Until next time, let's keep questioning and exploring the depths of these global tactics and their real-world impacts.